Let's just kick off. So our agenda is actually just showing the agenda. This right here is our agenda that we shall be using to sort of go through. Let me just... So first on the list, we shall have a little bit of some explanation regarding this workshop. Then we shall go on to introductions, and then I think let me just open this up in Google Chrome. So after the introductions, then I will go on to sort of like share with you what we shall be going through in regards to the UX Chiefs buffet that we prepare every week. So I think let me just sort of like expand this a little bit. So first and foremost, this is our agenda. I'm going to first of all tell you about what UX Chiefs, the weekly workshop is about. And then we shall go on to introductions. I'll introduce myself. Then if at all any lady joins us, they will go first, introduce themselves, and then we shall go over the weekly chiefs sort of like buffet that we prepare. And I'll talk about the buffet, and then I'll talk about what UX Chiefs is, and then I'll also talk about our first weekly workshop, which we're actually doing right now. So to kick off about this UX Chiefs weekly workshop, this weekly workshop is just about showing you the different sort of like insights that we prepare in regards to user experience design on a weekly basis. So what happens is we do prepare sort of like posts, LinkedIn posts, Twitter posts, together with articles on Medium in regards to user experience design. And then what happens is we post them throughout the week. And then what happens is on Saturday, we prepare a buffet. And a buffet to us is a combination of all the posts that we've been preparing throughout the week. So what I'm going to take you through is what we prepared throughout the week, and then we shall have discussions in regards to what we prepared, so that we can see how we can share insights in regards to this field. So to move on, let's come back right here to our agenda. So let's head to the introductions part. So to start the introductions, I think I'll introduce myself. So I'm Rogers Mukaaya. I'm a product designer. I'm a designer in general, because to me, I believe design is all about solving problems. So if at all you are a designer in a specific field, and that means you should have general knowledge in regards to design, in all the fields. So that's like the major aim for designers, to solve problems wherever you're thrown. But mainly I'm a graphic designer, I'm a web designer, I'm a UX designer, I'm an artist, and also consider myself as a software engineer, because I do front-end development. So that's a little bit about me. UX Chiefs is just a group of passionate designers. We do have designers, software engineers, together with other creatives. And right now we are actually 5 individuals. We have 2 designers, 2 software engineers, together with 1 creative. So as a group, we do form what we call the UX Chiefs. And as an agency, we do UI UX design, web design, graphic design, together with software engineering. And the main sort of like area that we usually focus on is user experience design. And we achieve this by, of course, combining all these areas so that we build the best digital user experiences. So, yeah, that's why, UX Chiefs was founded as an agency. And it's a very young agency that was founded last year. So it has been sort of like a group of creatives that usually come together and discuss and share ideas. But we decided, why not? Why don't we form an agency and we start providing what we usually discuss as a service. So yeah, that's why UX Chiefs does exist. So to move ahead, I think I'll also give you the option or the sort of like the flow to introduce yourself so that we can actually move forward to the next sort of like item on our agenda. Yes, Alex, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you. My name is Alex Penyonjo. I personally did computer science, but right now I'm into IT support roles. Implementation. Maybe I would say that I also did some testing. Yeah. I've been looking into entering data field, like data analysis. So that's my focus right now. But as an IT personnel, you don't have to be just one field. You have to touch here and there because technology keeps on advancing, changing.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So right now, there is nothing I'm doing right now much apart from the consultancy role that I had just completed last month. Yes. For now, I'm doing studies around IT. Yeah, just to prepare myself.
Yeah. True. That's really interesting. Nice meeting you, Alex. I hope we shall continue interacting as we move on and getting to know each other and sharing knowledge here and there, because if at all you're someone that is really interested in attaining a lot of knowledge, then you realize that learning doesn't really end. And every now and then you'll be presented with new things that will really interest you, and to keep your learning journey really interesting and to motivate you. So moving on, the next item on our agenda is to go over the UX Chiefs weekly buffet, and this is where the juice is. So moving on, this is actually our first weekly workshop as UX Chiefs. And on our first weekly workshop, we haven't had, so many people join because, it's our first sort of like weekly workshop. But I'm very sure in our second weekly workshop, we shall have, other people join. We shall have other members from the agency, just because we alerted them quite late, and that's why they weren't actually able to join. But I'm quite sure in our next weekly workshop, they will be here. Alicia, nice seeing you. Hi, how are you?
I'm late.
It's okay. It's okay. We also just started. We also started late because of some internet and technical issues. But anyway, just introduce yourself, then we can continue.
I don't get to put on my camera today because I just.
It's okay. It's okay. I'm actually the only one supposed to put on the camera. It's okay.
Thanks be to God. I'm Alicia Casimir. I'm a front-end developer, and I love I'm also a UI UX designer. So when I saw the UI UX the UX chefs brief on my people. So I'm excited to be here. I look forward to learning with you. I look forward to sharing with you. And yeah, that's me.
Right. Thank you so much for that introduction. So I'm going to move on to our next topic on the agenda. As you can see, is to go over the weekly buffet that we prepare as the weekly chefs. But maybe just to rewind a little bit, I've been telling Alex about myself. I'm a UI UX designer. I'm a graphic designer. I do I don't know, quite a lot of work to to make ends meet, as you know, Uganda. So but for as long as it's like digital work, I realized all of this work really connects to each other somehow. So it's really interesting for me to have quite a wide range of skill sets, because in interviews I've been asked a lot about what I know, and then I've realized that the only thing that really actually makes me stand out, especially when I'm being interviewed for maybe a product design job, is when I tell someone that I can do ABCD, that usually many designers cannot do. For example, attending to front-end work, and then being able to sort of like prepare designs that can be easily sort of like developed or coded, but are still intuitive, because that's what the challenge is today. So yeah, that's me. And for UX chefs is just a design sort of like agency, but what really focus on is user experience design. And we do believe that for you to achieve a really good user experience on any digital platform, you do have to combine quite a lot of fields together. A lot of fields have to come together. That's the graphic design, web design, UX design, art, then software engineering, so that everything comes together. So as UX chefs, that's what we literally do. We make sure that we have all these areas, and we do have individuals in these areas. We do have 5 individuals so far. That's 2 designers, 2 engineers, and then 1 creative. So yeah, that's UX chefs. It's a very small agency. We just started. We started last year actually, but we've been meeting in the background as creatives, and then we realized there was a gap for this service. So many people that have come out to actually create agencies totally dedicated to design, especially user experience design. So that's where I actually picked up the interest. So, and I had a couple of friends that I've worked with, software development, the creative agency, marketing. So those are the people that actually enter this agency. So that's a little bit about UX chefs. So I want us to move on to the next item on our agenda, so that we are not late. So the next item on our agenda is to take us through the UX Chefs Weekly Buffet. But first and foremost, the UX Chefs Weekly Buffet is just a combination of the information that we usually present throughout the week. And as I'm going to be taking you through, you realize that we do create posts here and there, especially on LinkedIn, and then we share those posts on like Twitter. We also create articles on Medium through our different agents. So if at all you are an agent, you can create like information, then we sort of like publish it through the agency. So that is the information that we usually share through our buffet. So the idea is, as UX chefs, we do believe that we cook user experiences, and these user experiences usually, you cook them while attaining, a skill set. And if at all you attain a specific skill set, we do believe that you can share it along the way. So that is why we end up creating this information to sort of like share it with other people so that they can get to know of what is actually happening in the industry. On top of that, we do usually share other links here and there to sort of like, entice people to get interested in user experience design, because it's a field that is not so popular down this side, if I may say. But I know with time, I do believe people will become aware of it and they will start, appreciating it. So that is why UX Chiefs exists as a group. So, and our first weekly workshop, we haven't had our agents on this call because they are quite busy. They do usually have a really busy schedule because they are freelancers. But I can promise you on our next workshop that is actually happening next week, we shall have maybe 2 agents or maybe 1 agent to, introduce themselves and then also share the experience. So that, is a little bit about UX Chefs. And then that is also a little bit about our first weekly workshop. So our workshop is, it's just to share the information from our buffet, because sometimes once you write a piece of information, it might, go unexplained verbally. So that is why we do have these workshops to share that information and then get feedback from you. And then also, you also share questions with us and then we answer them and then we can see how to move forward. So moving on, the next item on our agenda is to sort of like take you through maybe the first sort of like item, that is what you missed in the previous week. So I want to just introduce to you these hashtags, and then we shall go for our break, and then in the next session I'm going to take you through this remaining information that actually comes from these hashtags so that we can dig deeper. And then at the end, I will share with you this presentation so that you can actually read further. So diving in, what you missed this week is we came up with 2 hashtags actually. And these 2 hashtags will help us to share the information that I talked about. And this information is mainly, surrounded around user experience design. That is like the main area we usually focus on, because that is the main area of our expertise. So we created the UX Toons, which is sort of like a cartoonish way of sharing information in a conversational way, because I realized that sharing information comes in so many different ways, and it's better to share information through the mediums you actually quite understand well. So at UX Chefs, we do have people good at graphic design, coming up with characters, storytelling, and all of those skills that creatives do have. So using those skill sets, we do realize that we needed these hashtags. First and foremost, the UX Toons, that is a cartoonish way to sort of like provide information through dialogues. This information is always technical information in regards to maybe the sort of like controversies happening around design and tech in general, and then misconceptions, and then like the famous sort of like information that is usually misunderstood. So we usually come up with these dialogues to get opinions from people and to also, air out what we think about, such, such topics that are always trending and misunderstood and, always causing confusion in the field or industry. So we usually give our opinions through this hashtag called the UX Tunes. And we usually create issues on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So you can always, search for this hashtag, the UX Tunes, LinkedIn and Twitter, and then, you'll be served with that information through, cartoonish dialogues. So the next hashtag is the UX word. So the UX word is like the UX word of the day. So what's that word of the day that will help you sort of like clearly understand maybe what UX design is about and what user experience is about. So we curated a list of about 300 words plus that have been repeatedly used to describe what user experience design is all about. So through that list, we do use one word per day, or every Tuesday and Thursday of a week. We usually use one word to sort of like explain what user experience design is all about using that specific word. So, for example, I'll be taking you through those different words in our next slide that we used in this previous week, so that we can give out that information and then get feedback, discuss, and then find a way forward. So the last hashtag is the UX Chef's Weekly Buffet, and this is for our newsletter that is created every Saturday. So today we are going to create a newsletter that will be served out to our subscribers so that they can read what we created throughout the week. So that is what the UX Chef's Weekly Buffet is all about. So every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday we do publish the UX Tunes, and then every Tuesday and Thursday we do publish the UX word, which is the user experience word of the day, and then on Saturday we do publish the UX Chef's Weekly Buffet. So yeah, that is what you actually missed this previous week. So with that, I'll be letting you guys take a break so that we can come back for the next session, and then I can take you through these different hashtags that you missed this previous week. So I want us to jump off, and then we rejoin using the other link I sent you, and then we can actually go over these remaining slides. So Alex, let's just take a break of 5 minutes, then you can join using the other second link. I think we can continue as we wait for Alex. So yeah, these are the hashtags you can use to follow up the information in regards to user experience design. But we also touch other areas like for example, user interface design. We also touch other areas like web design in general. We also touch other areas in regards to UI development. Then that is in regards to creating design systems, and then transferring your designs into code that's like CSS, HTML, and JavaScript. So yeah, we also do work around that, and then create information around that, and then we do publish it. So moving on, I want to take you through first and foremost the UX word. That is what you missed under the UX word. So the UX word is like the user experience word of the day. Yeah. So we curated a list of the most popular words that are used while describing user experience design, and then we started creating information around those words, and then decided to publish that information through, this hashtag. So our first UX word of the day for this week was why. Yeah, this word here, why, is a very interesting word once it comes to user experience design. So why is sort of like a way to initiate, the reasoning behind why you want to do something, or, the intention. Because I realized that user experience design is all about intention and making sure that that intention really fits well with the users. And for you to really get to the intention that, brings about, a good user experience, you need to always question what you're doing. So that is why, we have, our first word as why. So as user experience designers, we usually question, the sort of like requirements we usually get, to sort of like construct designs out of those requirements. Because it's through questioning that you get the reasoning behind, the kind of value you want to sort of like produce at the end. So that reasoning also helps you, construct user experience, user interfaces that, you can actually explain to, the people you are actually going to give those designs eventually. Because we believe as you're creating designs, eventually you have to give those designs to someone, and you have to attach an explanation as to why you designed that way, or as to why, you attached specific UI elements, to a specific system. So, user experience, guides you throughout that process to sort of like help you question, why am I, what is my intention as I'm using this specific UI element? When you select a specific form, a design of a form, the login form, the checkout form, and registration form, all those forms are different. But you might find yourself confusing the layout and the design of those forms. So, through user experience design, you can tell this is the kind of form I want, because this is the kind of demand I have gotten, and I have, decided to settle down on this specific form because of ABCD. So user experience design comes in to help you, to sort of like lay a ground for you to start asking yourself what I'm doing. How is it going to help, me to properly explain it and to sort of like fit it in the system. So yeah, that is why, we have our first word as why. So we encourage people to actually question a lot. You need to question a lot. Why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? So that you can always get to the intention, the overall intention that, you would want to actually get in terms of the UIs. So user interface design is usually an end result of user experience design, and in the process you have to also always question the UIs themselves. So user experience design is like an intertwined process in all these fields. I realized, because as you're coming up with anything, you always need to question. At the start, you need to question why. Then in the middle, you also need to question why. Then at the end, when you get results, you also need to question why. Because it's that why that always helps you to iterate through, all these processes. As you're asking why, you get a solution, and then you question it again, and then you get another solution, question it again, get another solution, and then eventually you keep on getting solutions that are different, and in the process, the product is actually improving. So that is what the user experience design is all about. It's about questioning. Is what I'm doing really fitting with the people that are going to use it? And if it fits well, how is it fitting into their social lives? So you do that by using this question, why? So that was our first UX word. And yes, 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 yes. Yes, Alicia?
Oh, I just wanted to reiterate something small, just referring from what you're saying. The why is an important, let me call it word, not word, it's an important term to understand the user requirements before, during, and after the whole design process and all those things. So just to reiterate, as we are designing, yes, we do need to have the why at the back of our minds to achieve both the user goals and as well as the designers' goals. Yeah, that's what I wanted to add on. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Thank you so much. Yes, that is really true. Questioning yourself all throughout the process is really important. And it really helps you to also sort of like reflect on what you're doing, so that what you're doing can sort of like help you improve personally, because you realize as you're designing, you're creating sort of like another way of reflecting on things away from that type of work you're doing. So that is why questioning is really important. And moving on, our second word is just. So the word just, it is also a word that is used in a user experience design. But on the contrary, you will find out that this word just is not also a good word to use while describing user experience design, because things don't just happen in user experience design. So as we are also giving you words that are used in user experience design, we also give you words to avoid, because there are always two sides of the coin. When you're giving someone what to use, always give them what not to use. The word just is a word that is usually used by artists to sort of like escape what they would have explained to the viewer. For example, if you're viewing an art piece of a famous artist, you might ask them, why did you use this type of brush, or why did you use this type of paint, or why did you use this canvas? Of course, I'll give you an explanation, but that explanation would be sometimes personal or out of experience, maybe. But you will hear them, relating that explanation to a word that is not, giving you the real meaning or a fact as to why they did that. So you hear them saying, I just used this brush. I just used this paint because I like it. So in user experience design, we really go against this word just, because it makes you escape what you would have sort of like explained to the person you're designing for, be it the user, be it the software developer, be it your manager, be it the owner of a system. So as you're designing, always avoid this word just. And you've had people using this word in their daily lives. I just did this. I just did this. I can't explain. So design is a science. It's like mathematics. When you add 1 + 1, you will get 2. So at the core of it, you realize that design is truly a science. And whereas people think that design and art are really, they really cross paths. They really cross paths, at a specific point. But one should really go down into the mechanics of user experience design, from all the way, going back to its history and where it came from the world, the First World War to the Second World War, all the way to the Great Depression. You realize that people never just questioned what design was really, and they were just taking it for to be a literally field that someone can actually just participate in and just make things for justice case. And it was not until they started questioning the designs that they were making, especially in the First World War, when they were making machines that weren't fitting properly with the people that were using them, especially fighter jets. If you read the history of your user experience design that dates back before Don Norman, you realize that user experience design came all about through questioning and the realization that people actually needed more, and they needed products that could fit in their lives. They just didn't need something to use. They wanted something that fits. And something that fits, you can't use this word just on it, because if something really fits, then there has to be a mechanism. There has to be an underlying mechanism that makes it fit. So as user experience designers, we are against this word because we want to thoroughly explain everything so that the products we design properly fit into people's lives, because that is like the main role of design. Away from things we see, design's main intent is to fit into people's lives first and foremost as an object, that is through technology, and then second as social being that people can relate to. So yeah, that is where technology is going. Technology that works fits. For example, WhatsApp really fits into people's lives, and that is why it's something that people don't even think about. Someone wakes up from their bed and then they straight onto WhatsApp without even thinking, without even questioning, because it fits into people's social lives. And there are so many tools that fit that are not even social tools. For example, they're like gadgets, for example, like cars that people drive without even noticing that they're driving them, and they're not even worried about the underlying mechanics of how a car works, but they're just driving it. Fridges, we know there are so many products that really work, and for them to work, they have to fit first as an object, and then second, they have to fit into people's social life. So you realize that for that to happen, you need to take this word just out from the equation and forget about it. I've actually attended art school, and through art school, I realized that art and design were totally different parts, and that is why, for me, I really decided that for art, it is more of expressions, and that is where art and design meet. If you would want to express yourself through design mechanisms, or through, using design psychology, that is where art comes in. But art alone is all about impressions. So moving on to our next word. Our next word is you. Oh yes. yes. You can step in.
Okay, I'm also going to share my thoughts because I'm in field, and I do have my thoughts that I keep to myself, and when you're presenting to people, they just want to understand you, but you act professional just to ensure what they mean. Anyway, I just wanted to reiterate again on the word just. So what I've realized is most times when a person is just saying just, like say a client wants this type of say website, and he just says just. So from his point of view, he's coming out of emotion and what he feels and what he sees, not basically what he needs to deliver what he wants. So it's normally a challenge, because also the term just helps, because as a designer, most times, we gather inspiration from everywhere, be objects, be emotion, be feelings, be what you've seen, be what you thought, what you've heard, and all those things. So however much just is not a word that would be encouraged to do what? To be used. But it's a good way to understand from what what your point of view is coming from, and as well as what the users, clients' point of view is coming from. So, like, it strikes a balance. However, since you're going to use it professionally, you have to alter it and say, maybe this is a suggestion. I think this is better for so and for such and such a reason. Yeah, I don't know if that makes sense, but yep, that's what I wanted to share.
That is something that is really true. Yes, this word really comes in a lot. And when I was all the way, like my work, sort of like experience when I'm studying online, we're reading, comments online, people's comments, feedback. This word really comes up, and you have to use it sparingly, because eventually, when something goes wrong, then people will start coming in with this word. I just did this, and eventually, once they're comparing results, you have to be accountable. Yeah, that is why this word actually just drives us towards, as designers, you have to be accountable. So to avoid being accountable, that's when we bring in this word. And even clients usually use this word to sort of like avoid the accountability part of it, or that accountability part of the equation, so that they do not tell you what exactly they want, because they want you to bring out that creative juice. But in user experience design, we usually want to question everything so that we can clearly design for our users. So moving on to the next word. The next word is you, and let me just open that up. The next word is you. So you. So everything starts with you. For you to actually come up with really good user experience designs, everything has to be centered around you, because you're the first person to decide what exactly am I bringing to the table in terms of my expertise, and in terms of the things that I have seen in terms of capturing sort of like the visual history, getting ideas here and there, reading books here and there, reading feedback, getting ideas online, seeing things happening out there, comparing things. So user experience design is centered around you, the designer, because once there's a problem, then it all comes back to you, and once everything goes well, all the congratulations come back to you. So you are a starting point, and you need to start realizing this, because first and foremost, you need to first of all realize that you're the person going to test whatever is going to be tested eventually by the testers. You're the first tester. So as you're designing, you need to keep it in mind that, I am the person going to first of all use this specific product, because today, designs can be prototyped to, look like as though they are real applications. And that is where designers are actually excelling today, because they are able to sell prototypes. And prototypes are able to sort of show you, all the states, and to sort of like create visual experiences that are not yet implemented, but they are real. They give you the real picture towards what you're trying to achieve. So if at all you're good at, thinking about your solutions in your head and visualizing how these things will work before you actually start designing, because you realize that user experience design has like processes. You need to first of all do some sort of like to get the requirements, then you do some user research, you do some market research, you do analysis, then you start testing your ideas out, you start sketching, then you start improving your designs, you test them. But even before doing the designs, you need to sort of like wireframe them to come up with rough ideas, you prototype. But in the process, it is all centered around you. You are the first person. You're the person to lay out your ideas, you're the person to test them out, and you're the person to say that I am now done with this specific piece of work and it can now be tested or developed. So the reputation comes back to you. So as user experience designers, we do urge you to sort of like think of your work, coming back to you. How will people look at your work 5 years, 10 years to come? How will you look at your designs? Will you be proud of them? Will you have solved a solution, or you'd have just painted a picture? So that is, what, we really encourage user experience designers to think about user experience design. It is centered around them as individuals. So that is what this word is all about. It's about thinking about the process that you have to go through to come up with your designs, and then through that process you need to reflect on your own self. What is this work going to bring in terms of results? What is the end product? What do people expect of me? Do they expect a write-up? Do they expect UIs? Do they expect a design system? Do they expect a design style? So you realize that everything is centered around you, and the more you perform, the more you become better, is the more you realize that you're becoming a professional in this specific field. So yeah, that is what user experience is about. It is first and foremost centered around the designer. When you I like user experience design history, because I'm reading I'm reading a book called User Friendliness, User Friendly. I don't know. I think it's User Friendly or User Friendliness. But it's a book about, in the introduction, it gives you sort of like the history of user experience design, even before Don Norman. So it really shows you that the people that really thought about, the user in the first place, the first guy that came up with that John Doe guy that was used as the generic user, in the USA. That designer, he wasn't someone that you would just look at and just think that was just a designer. He was someone that thought about people and reflected them, and reflected them with the type of work they were doing. So he usually questioned people a lot, and he usually did that because he had some empathy within him. And if at all you don't have that empathy within you as a designer, you will not see the challenges that people are actually facing. So he was able to actually look beyond the type of designs that were being produced and thought about the individual that was using them. And that is why he was able to come up with so many innovations and to drive user experience all the way to the state that it is in right now. It was all about empathizing with people, and empathy starts with you. So you can't have empathy, and designers usually confuse empathy and sympathy. You can't empathize with people, you're sympathizing towards. So empathy is all about trying to relate with what people are actually experiencing, rather than feeling pity for them. You relate with what they're trying to go through, and then you come up with a solution, or you do something about it. Sympathizing is feeling bad about the situation in which people are in, and you also feel bad about it, which actually doesn't help. So as user experience designers, we encourage you to empathize, and then find solutions through design. So that is how design has actually evolved, to start considering people as users, so that these designs can actually fit with the people using them. So yeah, that is all about this word "you," and you realize that people that actually produce really good work have also developed individually, personally. Because you cannot be producing good work and you're just retarding in your personal life, or just going backwards. You realize that you will also improve as an individual if at all you start empathizing with the kind of people with whom you're designing for. So that is what this word is all about. Moving on to our next word. Our next word is going to be user. Yeah, user. So for user, what happens under user is just trying to understand. So after understanding yourself, you also need to critically understand the people you are designing for. Usually, people usually use John Doe to sort of like represent a generic person that they're designing for. But at UX Chefs, we usually look at this as a failure to, one, carry out proper user research, such you can build user personas off of the results from user research. And then I think it's about trend. When you see designs out there having John Doe, Jane Doe, and all those generic names, you can be tempted to use them. But once you use them, and someone looks at your design, they will just see it as a painting because it is not really directed to a proper user from user research. So as you're designing, you should use John Doe maybe for the start. But as you're completing your user research and painting a clear picture, you should find clear names to use, and those clear names you should construct clear names around the demographic or other sort of like psychographic behavior sort of like information you've gotten from your market research. So once you use that information, for example, that geographical information, and you've carried out your research from within Kampala. Now you can't carry out your user research within Kampala and then at the end you use John Doe. That will just show that you did nothing because you failed to even come up with generic names that relate to your user research. So once you understand the results or the reports from user research, you can construct better names using that information. So that is why we have this word user. It's just to remind you that John Doe was used in the 1970s, 1930s, there, 1940s, when user experience design was a new field and they were just trying to mold it up. But as of now, you need to drill down to the real person, because once you understand the real person and move away from these generic names, you understand how to serve them better in regards to which type of user interface can this individual interact with, so that they can accomplish their goals or they can accomplish their problem. Because people are different. The people within Kampala are different from those in Nairobi. They're different from those in South Africa. And you will find out that they're different. Of course, there are usually some things that usually make us similar, but you realize that the way people run their lives is different. Although you might find them speaking the same language, but how they run their lives and how they manage their personal lives is different. And I realize that usually our services are meant to serve them in their personal lives. So that is where this word comes in, and it's about understanding the people who are going to eventually use that specific product. So yeah, that is what user is about. So moving on to our next item, I'm going to take you through the UX tunes. So UX tunes, these are just like, as I told you, they're just like conversational ways to provide information. So it's also another way that we use away from the UX word to provide information. So I'm going to take you through what you missed the previous week. So starting with episode 1. Anyway, let's just use it this way. So this was our episode 1. I think maybe I can expand this. So actually, our first episode, moving forward, as this thing expands, our first episode was about, introducing our characters and then, coming up with a first dialogue. That we think is really, one of the hottest topics. That dialogue, it really explains what, the kind of requests people, designers usually get. because we realize that most designers are working out there, but they are working with sort of like, with silent silent pains or silent headaches that they that maybe they would want to air out, and they don't have a proper platform to do that. And I myself was an example of this, or I'm actually an example of this, and that's why I actually created these UX tunes. It's to sort of like help us air out the kind of conversations that usually happen in offices or office settings. So, and I realized that for our first sort of like episode, I think let me just show you that. Just give me a minute. And for our first episode, we came up with this sort of like screen that just shows you that designers usually take requests from their bosses like on a fly, like, hey, do this, John, do this, Moses, do this, Jane, do this. And they don't usually have time to question these requests, first and foremost, because they may be, it could be because of like poor culture, or there are no proper communication channels, or other issues. But realize that some designers just take these specific requests. For example, your manager can tell you, please design for me a landing page, or design for me this form, without even giving you additional information as to why you should be designing this specific form. So that is why you have this first dialogue. It is to remind you that you need this extra information, and you need to always ask your manager, what is extra information, rather than just accepting, because most designers just accept and just move on because of deadlines, or because they fear questioning, or it's not the moral of that specific company. That's not how they do things. But as designers, we are here to remind you that you're not supposed to just do things. You need to ask for for more information. So that is why we have that specific sort of like episode under UX tunes. So you realize that you have to always question yourself. Why am I taking this request? What does this kind of request want from me? And on top of that, what exactly are the end results, or what is the end goal? So that is why we have this as our first episode. Most designers don't question, they don't ask for more information. It's just a matter of moving in straight forward to designing. Always avoid that, always ask and question the type of requests that are given to you. So moving on to our next episode. Oh, yes, Alicia.
Okay, from I just wanted to ask, normally when you are gathering user requirements, as a designer, it's your right and your obligation to really ask as many questions as you feel necessary to understand the user requirements. So that thing of you just take on what the client wants. It's an exhausting route, but during the course of my tenure, I understand that trying to understand the needs of the client by asking very, very many questions, or questions around what he needs, helps the design process go faster, because these clients of ours, they don't put in mind that time it will take to think and do all that and all that and all that. Maybe it comes with experience or something, but it's good to always ask questions. Yeah, I think that's why it's good to always ask questions rather than just doing things out of because you keep making iterations per iterations, and that's too much work, and they don't account for your time and money. So yeah, that's what I wanted to say.
Yeah. That's definitely true because some clients, they you give them something and then they realize that that is just part of the idea of what they wanted. Then they use that to make another request, and then another request comes in, and then another request comes in. So that is also a challenge that we designers actually have to. You need to properly understand what the client needs, so that you don't have to go back and forth with the requests. So our next episode, which is episode 2, this one it was mainly focused around just reminding designers, especially user experience designers and product designers, that you have to have more skills. You have to have sort of like a wide range of skill sets, so that you can properly know what to hand off and what are the challenges that other individuals that take on your work face. For example, developers, designers have a challenge today of, first and foremost, designing things that are not that are hard to actually engineer. For example, there was a video I watched whereby there's a designer who designed a scroll process whereby it had a hand and someone had to sort of like use that hand to scroll a page. It was an animation whereby scrolling was replaced with a hand that just pulls the page upwards. And it was an animation, and developers were all over it, and they were like, this is, you can't engineer this quite faster, it's unengineerable, it's way beyond, and they were complaining. And what I picked away from this was, we designers need to be considerate of the people going to use our work. You can't design something that is really complicated, and that some developers, of course, they could be having some design knowledge, but that design knowledge couldn't. It can't match yours, just like maybe their programming skills can't actually match yours. So, as designers, we need to find a balance. And that is why I urge designers to always learn a little bit of programming. Even if it's not that extensive, but at least you need to know the mechanics that are behind the UIs that you actually construct. So, that is what this episode was about. It was about a designer and a developer trying to tell each other that they both need a little bit of each other's skills. So that is what we are trying to preach in this specific episode, and I hope we really brought the message home. Yes, Alicia, do you have something to say? Before we move on to the next episode, which is episode 3. Mic check. Yes, Alicia, you can step in. Oh, not hearing you. It seems you could be muted.
Hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
I think that's about love. I think what I also wanted to add on, just a little, no, I didn't have anything, but when you said, do you have anything to add on? I just want to reiterate that as a designer, your voice, your thoughts are also valid and important, because without the designer, the whole concept would not be developed, built upon, or engineered and stuff. So it's good for a designer to to ensure that his ideas, his thoughts are considered as well. Because I think I've worked with certain people. When you're in a meeting, they're quiet. Then when you come out of the meeting, they share your ideas, or maybe it's a personality issue or something. But a designer's voice is always important, and as a designer, one of the skills you need to do what you need to have is share your thoughts.
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah. That's true. Designers need to really communicate with the people they're actually working with. Yeah, that's quite interesting. And I've worked in teams whereby what we've just talked about happens, because once you're working with people that have diverse backgrounds, everyone tries to sort of like act in a way that they think is right. But I think communication is really key to sort of like come up with an end result. Moving on to our next episode, which is like episode 3. We came up with this one to sort of like ask designers if at all they're being given time to make some research. Because usually once you get a request from a client or your manager, they're like, design straight away. Like for them, they think that design is all about getting into Figma or getting into Illustrator, and then you just start moving rectangles, coloring them up, and then producing a result. This has actually happened to me. I've worked for individuals who do not care about the user research process and the results that you might have gotten from that process. And once you're trying to explain to them how you got to the UI or why you haven't yet made UIs, they will just tell you, man, we need the designs. We don't need these things. These things, we just do them for yourselves. They think that user research is for the designer, which is totally wrong. User research is for the company, and it drives the company forward because it helps it understand the people it's serving better in terms of how they are using the products their competitors are using and how they might use their product. So, in this episode, we are preaching about, user research. Make some user research. Find out who are the competitors. What products are they using? What features do they add? What colors are they using? What effects are they using? How do they transition from this sort of like state to another state? So that is what we are trying to preach in this episode, and we also hope that we drove the message home, because some designers, once they are told, they just switch from research to designing. But as a user research, as a user experience designer, or maybe as a user researcher who eventually designs, you need to have your research at the back of your mind. Even if your company is against it, let it be at the back of your mind, and you do it and start the process, and they will appreciate the results once they find out that your UIs are actually connected to your research. And this is how you get reports from that research and then figure out what is the interface almost to use while designing. So that is what this episode was all about. Yes, Alicia.
You spoke about user requirements phase.
Yes.
I don't know, over the years, I think from my experience, however small or big it may a project may be, I always endeavor to do user research, not for the client's benefit, but for my own benefit. Because at the end of the day, this is something that's going to help me and not at the client. Not necessarily the client, but me in particular. And I think I should say, some companies do have a systematic approach where You will document all those user requirements and all those things. You will document your whole process and deliver it, make a report or something. And then others, like the side gigs that we get, you may not necessarily do user research and all those things. But for personal preference and for personal skilling, and just for my bet to know that this is a good thing. I'm doing this because it's part of the work I do. I always endeavor to, even if it's a small user research, what do I call it? Document profile or small or big, I endeavor to do it just for my own benefit.
That's really interesting. It's always good to do user research. Freelancers don't usually user research, but it's better to have a process, just like you said, for your own self, so that you can actually follow it up once you get another client, and you can always replicate this process once it gives you the results that you want. That's all about this episode. Moving on to our last episode for this week, which is this episode. So under this episode, we were trying to sort of like come up with a way to sort of like remind designers, especially user interface designers, about the way they work, especially once they're using tools like Figma. Today there is a hot discussion on LinkedIn whether people should actually name their frames or the layers that they're actually using. And we also created like an article about this, and we gave our opinion. We shall be talking about that article next week in our next workshop. But just to give you a glimpse of what we talked about in that article in this specific episode, we were trying to sort of like show you that naming frames sometimes does not really bring value to the project, and it doesn't add value to the designer, because once you're working on a really huge project, you'll find out that naming frames really becomes time consuming and time wasting as you're trying to create something in Figma. Now you realize that prototyping in Figma is better than actually naming frames. For example, in this episode of UX Tunes, we were trying to show that someone can actually create so many frames having designs, and then they can come back and change a specific frame in Figma. And then since there are so many frames and they are all labeled, they can even forget the name they used, because usually these frames have like maybe the same elements, the same components that have just been changed due to state or maybe due to some other condition that has brought a change in the components. So eventually we realized that designers usually get confused in the process of trying to label the frames that have created. And then what we suggested in that article that actually relates to this specific episode was that prototyping was actually an easier way to manage your designs, because prototyping gives you first and foremost the end result that you want, but other people can actually go through and get to know how you design. And then it also helps you to track down errors. For example, once you're going through your prototype, you can actually find a way to trace where a specific issue is, and then through your design style guide, you can actually update a specific prototype that has an issue. Because on top of that, we asked designers to first of all create a simple design style. So a design style helps you to first of all find ways to create components, and usually these components are they're actually self-contained. They do one thing at a time, and they can actually accomplish that one thing within themselves without consulting other components. Now, on top of that, Figma gives you capabilities to build component states that's a combination of components, and on top of that, that is where we build pages by combining very small components we combine them to make huge components, and then those huge components are used to build pages, and then those pages are combined to make prototypes, which are easier to access in terms of clicking the clickable areas to display other pages. It's even actually faster. It's faster than going through thousands of frames. Instead of going through thousands of frames, you can go through your application and then get to the area that you want, and then you debug it through your design system or your design style guide. So we were preaching and we were telling people to stop wasting time with naming frames and to focus on the overall goal of design, which is to come up with a tangible end result that can be accessible, which is a prototype. So that is what this specific episode was all about. It was about frames and the problem of naming frames and trying to access them. So that is what this specific episode was all about. So up next, I want to take you through the book of the week, so that you can actually go ahead and read further in terms of user experience design and what might actually interest you, so that you can actually get to know more about user experience design. So let me just bring this presentation back right here, and then I'll just take you right here to our book of the week. So starting off, since this is our first weekly workshop, the book of the week is called The Design of Everyday Things by Don Norman. The Design of Everyday Things was written by Don Norman back then to sort of like give you an understanding of how we use everyday things and the challenges they face. The challenges outlined in this book are very, very simple design mistakes. Don Norman advocates he advocates that designers are always at wrong when they design products that users fail to use. So it is not always users that are always at fault. It is always the designer who is always at fault. So before the design of everyday things, there were around 4 events that actually brought about the awakening of the practice of user experience design. First, it was the First World War, the Second World War, the Great Depression, and then the accident at the 3 Miles Island. That nuclear reactor accident that was at the 3 Miles Island, somewhere in the USA. So those events, they sort of like were the events that brought people to think about the kind of products they were making, to help designers to start thinking about the kind of people they are designing for. Because initially people were blaming the users for being at fault, and some designers had advocated, especially in the Second World War, they had advocated for engineers and designers to teach users forcefully, because they were like, it's the user's mind that cannot find easier ways, or that it cannot learn how to operate machines that were being produced or objects or products by then. So it was all about trying to figure out that the people that were producing these products were at wrong and they were at fault, and they needed to think about the person that is going to use this specific product. So that is how user experience has been evolving. And Don Norman, who is known as the grandfather of user experience design, has used the lessons from that 3 Miles Island in his book, and so many user experience design books talk about that accident, because it was just as a result of a poorly designed control center that was supposed to manage that nuclear power plant. So engineers failed to read the indicators of what the system was trying to tell them, because they were so confusing. There were so many lights telling them to do so many things, and everything ended up, causing problems. So this is the book of the week, and you can actually read it and then get to know more about user experience design. So moving on, this is like our last slide for the day. We just urge you to stay connected. You can join the UX design community. You can talk to an expert. You can follow us on LinkedIn and Twitter. And you can visit us around Tinder Complex. That's on Tinder, in Tinder Kampala Road. So yeah, that is where we're found. And that is what this workshop has been about. It has just been about trying to, take you through our weekly buffet. So I'm going to be providing this PDF. I think I'll send it to you by WhatsApp so that you can read further and then, get to follow up on all this information, and then you can already stay updated once it comes to user experience design. So thanks for listening, and thanks for coming through. Alicia, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. Thanks for putting this up together. Even me, this year, I really wanted to do something like this, though I didn't know how to do it and stuff and all those things. So this is really wonderful. Kudos to you. And I think two things. I think that it would be nice if this call was recorded and then you would upload on a YouTube channel.
Exactly. I'm actually recording, so I'll be uploading this on YouTube.
That's beautiful. That's really nice.
Yeah.
And then the next thing was what? I'm available to help, to be in the community and all those things. So I like this, and I'm looking forward to sharing and learning with people. There are not very many UI UX designers in this field. Though there are people who do these things, but they don't technically term themselves as, say, maybe a UI UX designer and stuff like that. Yeah, and many people want to do this thing, but they do not know what it entails. Yeah, so I'm happy to be. I'd love to be part of it, and thank you.
Right. Thank you so much, Alicia, for joining. I hope to see you next week. Thank you so much.
Okay. Have a good weekend.
Good weekend too. Cheers.